Hi, and welcome to Cenario, your partner in mental wellness. Here on our channel, we share educational, insightful, and science-backed content to help you understand your mental health and take meaningful steps toward a more balanced life. If you're ready to learn, grow, and take control of your wellness journey, let's jump right in.
So today we're going to dive into a really important topic, the powerful evidence-based ways you can manage bipolar depression without medication. We're going to unpack the therapeutic tools, the daily habits, and the support systems that can help create real lasting stability. All right, let's jump right in. Here's the game plan for today. First, we'll lay the groundwork for a non-medication path. Then we'll explore some key therapeutic tools, dig into lifestyle and self-care habits, and talk about building a safety net. Finally, we'll wrap it all up with how to turn this info into action. Okay, so first things first, let's lay the groundwork. Why might someone even consider a path without medication for bipolar depression? And what are the absolutely essential things you need to understand before you even think about taking that first step? To make sure we're all on the same page, let's be really clear about what we mean by bipolar depression. This isn't just about feeling sad. It's a very specific phase of bipolar disorder that involves this deep, profound hopelessness and loss of interest that can really turn a person's life upside down. Getting this distinction is the key to finding the right strategies. So why explore these options? Well, a lot of the time it comes from wanting a greater sense of personal control, maybe dealing with fewer side effects, or just taking a more holistic approach to wellness. It's all about adding more tools to your toolbox. But, and I really want to emphasize this is not a solo journey. It is something that must always be guided by a healthcare professional. Okay, so with that foundation in place, let's move into our next section and look at some of the most powerful tools out there, professional therapies. These are often the absolute cornerstone of any effective management plan. Two major players often come up here. First, you've got cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. This is all about learning to identify and challenge the negative thought patterns that can add so much fuel to the fire of depression. Then there's interpersonal and social rhythm therapy, or IPSRT. Now, this one is fascinating. It's built on the idea that the brain in bipolar disorder is incredibly sensitive to disruptions in our daily routines. So this therapy focuses on keeping those rhythms, sleep, meals, activities, as stable as possible. They say knowledge is power, and that is absolutely true here. Psychoeducation is just what it sounds like. It equips you and your family with crucial information about the disorder so everyone can learn to spot triggers. And family-focused therapy brings your loved ones into the fold, which can dramatically improve communication and create a much stronger team. And then there's mindfulness. Now, this isn't about trying to stop your thoughts or empty your mind. It's actually the opposite. It's about learning to observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment, kind of like watching clouds pass by. This simple practice can make a huge difference in how you regulate your emotions and respond to stress. All right, we've talked about professional therapy. Now let's get into the stuff you can do every single day. This next section is all about the practical habits that build a real foundation for day-to-day stability. I cannot overstate this. When we're talking about mood stability, sleep is king. Think of it as a three-legged stool. First, a consistent sleep schedule. And yes, that means on weekends too. Second, make your bedroom a sanctuary, cool, dark, and quiet. And third, have a solid wind-down routine, which means stepping away from screens and stimulants like caffeine long before you hit the pillow. These are non-negotiables. It is so true that you are what you eat, especially when it comes to your brain. Things like omega-3 fatty acids, which you find in fatty fish, can actually help support brain health. Think of your diet as giving your brain the best possible fuel to run smoothly and build resilience. We mentioned this with IPSRT, but it is so important it deserves its own moment. Routine, routine, routine. It is your anchor in a storm. Just the simple act of having set times for your meals, for sleep, and for your daily activities gives your brain a predictable structure it can count on, which is incredibly stabilizing. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This chart here, even though it's just conceptual, it paints a really clear picture. You can see a direct link. The more structure and routine you have in your day, the greater the potential for mood stability. It's a powerful relationship. Of course, we can't talk about stability without talking about stress. It's a huge factor, so finding ways to manage it is key, whether that's meditation, mindfulness, a gentle yoga practice, or even just a brisk walk every day. Finding a consistent practice that works for you can make all the difference. And let's not forget the power of good old-fashioned light. Especially during the darker winter months, getting regular sunlight or using a light therapy box can be a game changer. It helps regulate your body's internal clock, your circadian rhythm, which is tied directly to your mood. Okay, so we've covered therapy and daily habits. Now let's zoom out a bit and talk about your wider ecosystem of support. This section is all about building your personal safety net. So that begs the question, what does a safety net actually look like? Well, it's not just one thing. It's a combination of different tools, resources, and, of course, people who have your back. Now, let's touch on supplements. You'll see things like omega-3s or magnesium mentioned for mood. But here's the absolute most important takeaway from this slide, and it's written right there in that last column. Always consult a healthcare provider. Seriously, the evidence on supplements is really mixed, and they can interact with other things. This is a non-negotiable step. Never go it alone. And that same level of caution goes for other alternatives. Things like acupuncture or herbs like St. John's wort. The hard scientific evidence just isn't there yet, and more importantly, they can cause serious interactions. So again, what's the bottom line? Professional guidance is absolutely essential. This all leads to the core idea of being proactive. It really breaks down into 3 key actions. First, tracking your mood with an app or a journal so you can start to see your own patterns. Second, using that data to learn your personal early warning signs. And third, creating a crisis plan. And that last one, developing a plan before you ever need it, is maybe one of the most powerful and empowering things you can do for yourself. All right, we have covered a ton of ground. For our final section, let's bring it all home. How do we take all of this information and actually turn it into meaningful, proactive steps in our lives? This quote right here really sums up the entire approach we've been talking about. The key phrase is collaborative effort. This is never about going it alone. It's about building a partnership with your healthcare team and using all these strategies together to work toward a more balanced, fulfilling life. So, if you're going to remember just a few things from our time today, let it be these 4 points. Professional therapy is your cornerstone. Those daily habits we talked about, they're your foundation. Your support system is your safety net. And your own self-awareness through tracking and monitoring, well, that's your superpower. It's what gives you the power to stay proactive. And that brings us to our final thought, which is really a question for you to reflect on. After everything we've covered, from therapy to sleep to making a plan, what is the first proactive step, no matter how small, that you can take on your mental wellness journey?
Thank you for watching Cenario. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. For personalized mental wellness supplements, visit Cenario.com. See you in the next one.